Righto, so welcome along, and today we'll have a look at roofs. So you're all sort of familiar with the roof tool basically. So what we're going to do is just show you some ways to make it, or how it works so that you can do things quicker and simply. So the roof tool, and remembering too that while it's called a roof tool, it's not necessarily just for roofs. Any surface which is on an incline can be used. So whether it's a ramp or I don't know, some piece of furniture or something that you're making, you can still use the roof tool if it's on an angle. So don't get hung up that it's the roof tool and you can only use it for the roof. So so we'll go to the roof tool, and there's two basic ways of doing roofs. Probably the multi-plane roof. I don't know whether we get to use that as much here as like we would back in New Zealand, where we're doing single houses with strange roofs. So I'll show you this one quickly to start. So basically with the multi-plane roof, we come into an object, into our tool, we set the height, choose the type of roof that we're going to put on, whether it's just a fill or a composite. That's a very thick roof there. Choose our pitch and how we want the edge to look. So this will basically assign this angle to every edge on this initial roof that you create. So it'll be the same throughout. But then you can go and customize later on if you need to change roof edges for anything. So we've got perpendicular to the roof, vertical, and at a custom angle. So then we can come in here and set the angle if we want to do some sort of fancy effect on the edge of the roof. So we'll just stick for now with a vertical one. Now, I don't know if you use these here as well either, but you can have a roof with not just a single plane, same plane. You can actually have a roof which breaks and goes steeper or not quite so steep. So if you have a multi-plane roof, we can come in here and set all this up. So we can say like the first roof goes at 20 degrees till it's 2 meters high, and then we want to put a so then we can put a flat one on there. So in fact it's added underneath. So we need to turn that around. So if we were going to make a steeper roof to start, so we'll go 5 degrees here and 20 here. So it will give us a roof that goes up so high. Why has it done that? Hold on, sorry. Not looking what I'm doing. 20 degrees. It'll give us a roof that goes up and then at 20 degrees and then flattens off at 5 degrees, say. So if, well, we'll leave it at that for now because we'll show you what happens with this roof. And you can do that obviously multiple times, so the roof can do all sorts of things as it goes up if you really want to get fancy. Next part is the Eaves Overhang. I'm not sure what you call it here, with the bit where the roof hangs over the wall at the edge of the roof. You call it the eaves as well? Sophie, eaves? Okay, rafters. So that's we can set that up to whatever we need, or we can do them manually as we go. But generally, if it's the same around the whole roof, we just set it up in here. And generally, that's probably the main stuff we need to know, as well as then where we want it to show. So whether we want it to show on all stories, or all relevant stories, or all stories, or home only. If we just go home and one up, we can set the surfaces if we need to, and then choose our layer. And so then we choose whether we want to make it a complex roof. So if the building's not rectangular, you've done something sort of a bit with shape, you can use that one there. This one here will generally be for a rectangular roof, and this one's for like a rectangular or square roof, but it's on an angle to the horizontal. So if we just say we'll chuck in a free plane roof here, and we'll just create a roof. Keep it reasonably simple for now. So that's gone through and automatically calculated how everything comes together and all the right hip and valley angles, where the ridges are, and where that break is according to how we set our parameters. And there's our nicely formed hip roof there. Now if we go back in here, decide we don't need that anymore, so let's delete the top one and just leave it at 20 degrees, so then it just automatically picks everything up and does its thing. So do we actually use roofs like that here much?
Only maybe more, not like in imagine. Well, I think we have more like just two
planes, yeah, okay. So that's common, yep, cool. I thought it was the case. So that's just basically how you would do like a hip roof type thing like that. Now we'll go from that and then we'll go back into just a single plane roof. So this is where we would build a roof up like that building we looked at the other day that you're working on. So you've got different roof planes and different angles and stuff like that. So you've got the same, obviously the same settings. This time we only get single plane geometry, so you just each different piece of roof or each different angle of roof is a different piece of roof. So if we just put it in here at say 25 degrees, line and just okay. So again, you can have a complex shaped roof, but generally you'll be working in a rectangular type roof, so we'll put a rectangular plane in. So we're going to go on here. First thing we do is set the line of the roof, so the wall that it's running in. So you would either, if it's up the page or across the page, so you'd follow the wall that you're trying to put the roof on, and this is the pitch line. And then we choose obviously the side of the roof which is up. So we choose there, and then we can put our roof whatever shape it needs to be. And do the same, say this was the other wall over here. Now with the roof, you don't actually have to spend too much time working out where they join. I don't know how you do it, but the easiest way to do it is just grab the roofs. So you find which roofs are going to meet each other and come across to the one that it's going to meet with and control click, and it shifts the edge of that roof to the point that it would meet this other plane, and then swap and control click and control click or command. You'll be command click on your Macs, and then tidy that up. So if we go now and look at that one, it's a nice, cleanly meeting roof. Now the roof edges we can come in and adjust as we want. So come into custom edge settings and choose from angled, vertical, horizontal, or a specific angle what the surface of that particular edge can be, and give it a type. And then you can actually choose to apply that to all edges of the roof, or all edges of that selected polygon roof, or just the clipped edge. So if you just want to make one change to one side, so on this one we'll make it horizontal. Make a liar of me. Maybe that might do that. Clip edge. Yeah. So now this edge is horizontal, and this one's vertical. For whatever reason, we might have wanted to do that. Now we might have. Yeah, I was going to say parapet. I'll do a parapet for you now. So If we have a piece of wall along here, we need to create a parapet, which is reasonably common. What I've seen here is put a wall on the outside of the roof there. Do this in 3D, to be easier. So this is our wall that's going to form our parapet. Now, there's two ways of doing this, probably more, but we can, so if we know what this height is, so if we want, say, a parapet which is 300 above the roof level, we can just grab these roofs and drag a copy. Now we need to know actually how thick those roofs are. Oh, and what we can. So those roofs are 1379 thick. So if we lift these roofs in that we've just copied up 1679 to allow our 300 parapet. And you will see now that we should have 300 clearance in there. We can, I'll just turn that roof edge back to vertical. So we've got our roofs that we're going to form a parapet with. Now, we can either do this as a solid element operation or Boolean operation, but that means we would need to keep these roofs here somewhere in our project. We can't do the operation and then delete these roofs. So we would have to put them on a hidden layer, or we can just do them as a trim to roof. So basically, once we do a trim to roof, we can actually delete the roof that we trim to, because it does it once and then it keeps the parameters. It's not looking for the roof to trim all the time. So now we've got those, and we've got our wall that we want to trim. So we just Control or Command 0.
Not commando.
And it's always a good idea, I think, to set the wall column top to the highest point, because then you don't end up with, like, if you've put in some massively high wall just to cover all options, it's not going to end up with the points way up above something. So just click that one on and then crop. And now our wall has been trimmed to these two roofs. We'll go through it and delete those roofs. And there's our parapet. The only sort of drawbacks of this method are that if you then change the roof pitch, height, or anything like that, then you have to undo the trim on this and do it again. So hold on, what does Billy want? Billy was doing something, I'm not sure what he wants, but Billy, if you want to know something, send it through on a message. So yeah, that's the trim the roof with as a parapet. What else could we do here? We can also have, like, say, another roof at the other end. So what we'll do now is we'll create a roof that's slightly higher, say, than the one we've got. So maybe we've got an end of the building that's something higher. So we'll go, say, 200. Oh, that's 500 to make it enough. And then say that roof is starting here along here. Here. Now we can do this in 2D or 3D. Quite often it's a lot easier to do this sort of stuff in 3D. Now you need to keep in mind how the roof geometry actually works. So you need to, when it gets to these angled parts, so when and they're not sort of facing each other, opposite each other, if they're at funny angles, you need to keep in mind which edges are going to be meeting which edges of the other roof. So in this instance, if we grab that one and clicked on there, it trims all of that edge, but if we do that there, hold on, trims all that one. Oh yeah, but then we've got to go back down here, and we've got this little piece down here that we need to trim. So we trim that, and it forms our nice little rectangle. Sorry, triangle. Get away from there. So now to marry these roofs in, we click there and there, and it forms all our hip and everything like that. And then if we need to turn these into like a little gable end or something, we can just obviously move the node points in here. Now that's all there. And then if we had, say, an instance of a roof, like a dormer roof, say, we can, coming out the side of this one, first of all, we can marry those two together, and then we'll grab that one there and click on the sides of each of those. So we end up with it all nicely tied together, and then it's just a case of trimming the hole. And this one, so we can either do that manually or that, or we can do it quickly with our magic wand. So we click on the edge and go subtract from the polygon, space click, and takes it out of there, and do the same again, takes it out of there. So now we've got our roof with a gap in it where the door comes through. Tiny bit. And then if we want to, we can manipulate the roof, so just say in sections. So if we come down here, we'll create a section through here. Now just say we wanted to increase the pitch of one of these sides and make say one higher than the other. We come in here and we can just so grab that point there and come to this here, which changes the roof pitch. And it's quite handy if we've got a known point that we're trying to match up to come in here and lift it up and make that change. Now the thing to remember when you're doing this is that it always swings around the pivot point of the roof, which is that blue line that we put down. So if you're using this, say in a like a landscaping example, if there's a ramp, you've always got to remember where. Just extend this out so you know. So you've got to remember where this line here is, because if you've done it in the landscape and you've extended the roof both ways, made it longer, it's always going to be swinging around this pivot point. So when you go into your section and you start, if you look where that bottom point is now, so if I change that again, so the bottom point's moving. So if you've done that and you can't work out why you've moved the top of your roof, you can't work out why the bottom's now in the wrong place, it's because the pivot point is inside the roof slab itself. What else do we need to show you? And I think we can do the same So in 3D as well, you can manipulate this edge. Go to a point, and we can change the slant angle on there as well. Now, if we've changed that angle, and now see how our roofs don't meet up anymore nicely, we can then still just go back, choose our roof, and control click on the matching sides, and they will then automatically come back. Wrong roof. Automatically come back to the right places. Just got to be careful that you actually get the edge of the roof. So sometimes you've got to zoom in again and go from there. Yep. And even though I'd cut that hole manually underneath, we can still come under here and do the same thing. Whoops, wrong roof. Right, there it is there, and yeah. So that's tidied all our roofs up together, and then we can sort of manually manipulate anything that is different. And then, as I said, we'd then have to undo the roof trims on this and create new roof trims to do that again. Now, if we had done it as a solid element operation, we could have then go in and show the layers that we had the element operators on, change the pitch to match in the location, and automatically follow the right shape. So that was basically a quick rundown on roofs and how they work and how to get them to meet nicely and work together. There's probably plenty of other things you can do, but I was just trying to keep it simple today. Like you can then start playing with the edge, moving that along to shapes or putting curves in. It's a reasonably useful tool once you start exploring all of the things you can do. And if you understand this control zero thing and how the control click thing and how the roofs then work together, you shouldn't have any problems with getting your roofs to look right in plan. Because sometimes you can muck around in plan and try and get the roofs to look right, but they don't always meet properly. There's always a little overlap, or there's a bit sticking up somewhere. So control click and you'll be done. And 3D is always a really handy way of doing things like this. So don't be afraid to whip into 3D and zoom up on the areas you need and start clicking away. So yeah, thanks a lot, and we'll catch you next week.
They've done that.